And my next guest up here is from Experian. It's a pleasure for me to introduce my good colleague, Herman Peeters. And Herman Peeters is very much used to the stage, not only because he speaks a lot about a lot of different things, but also because he is a musician. So he is playing a bit of rock music, bass guitar, right? So welcome to the stage, Herman.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's true. I'm a musician already for, I think, 40 years, and I'm a bass guitar player. So if you look at your favorite band, the bass guitar player, most of the time, is very relaxed at the back, yeah, next to the drum, yeah. But remember, he's the most important guy in a band because, and I can say that because he connects the rhythm and the harmony. Yeah, and that's also what I try to achieve in my work, because you have this long wires where you have this music. It's a strategic direction, yeah, and you have, let's say, a long-lasting, bass that comes into the room. But having said that, the subject is, of course, more about, you saw it on the agenda, about APIs. Well, I'm really not technical, sorry for that. But also as a musician, I used to work and to play for APIs. Are there musicians here in the audience, by the way? Yeah, there is, yeah. So API is applause for playing an instrument. So all the technical part, forget about that. By the way, I'm also a chair of the Dutch Association of Credit Management Companies, the largest membership organization in the Netherlands. So we have 40 plus companies, debt collections agencies, bailiff organizations, trade insurance, data trade, credit bureaus, software, fintech, payment service providers. And that really links with, I think, with my background, well, almost 40 years in credit risk management, collections management, credit management, how you want to call it. So anyway, I'm passionate about delivering value. And that's also the story of today. Delivering value in credit management, in credit risk management, in collections, across the entire cycle of a consumer or a business, starting from originations to customer management to collections. And I know that here in the room we have a good mix of various companies. We have debt collections agencies, we have insurance trade, we have insurance, we have fintech, we have banks. So I try to cover, let's say, more or less what I see as a consultant, because I traveled all around the world and see best practices and also worst practices, poor practices, how value can be delivered by the use of, especially, connecting all the data points, all the applications that are there to deliver, let's say, all those type of values you see here. So increase your acceptance rate with 40%, or decrease your time to say yes in a digital onboarding space where, let's say, using all the data in a happy flow, you reduce, let's say, the time to say yes from 14 days to 10 days, even if the happy flow is there and all the data points are there. Yeah, you can say in 1 minute, even for a loan of 100,000 euro, yes, you can have it. But not only then, if you grant a loan to the business or to a consumer or whatever, but also, of course, when occasionally, the customer is not able to pay, what do you have to do then? And are you making use of the same data you are having in the origination space, or the bureau data, or the commercial bureau data, or PSD2 data, to make also, let's say, the right decisions about your customer, regardless, again, where they are in the credit cycle. And of course, take more a look at the young people behind me. Those I think are more, Gen Z. Now after Gen Z is also now the Gen Alpha. I believe I was born in '64, so I'm Gen X. And that means that every type of customer has its own, let's say, type of behavior. And what do you want to know about your customer? And what are you allowed to know about your customer? What can you do with the data that you retrieve in originations, or what can you do with the data you retrieve in collections? But it's clear that we are highly digitalized let's say in our current market. And yesterday we had a treasury hunt here in Copenhagen, beautiful town by the way. But it looks like everybody is only looking at standing at the metro waiting for M3 to come here, or M2. Yeah, everybody is just, or even if you walk in the street. Oh shit, sorry for that. I think you recognize that. But that's also, I think, really dependent on the type of customer or business you are dealing with. So yes, I've been risk manager for many years, collections manager, but I always or often use the term, and why not? Because if you take a look at from a more holistic customer view, marketeers are also working with your same client, and they are using the same type of data. They have propensity models, they have churn models. I think it's credit risk marketing. So I'm a credit risk marketeer instead of a risk manager or whatever. And shifts in risk management. I think it's very obvious. So the digital engagement, my previous slide, digital onboarding. A lot of companies, they have digital onboarding in originations. You are as a customer, you are forced to deal with a bank or a financial service company completely digital. But then if you come into collections, we send out a standard letter. Or we try to call you, and if I try to connect with the bank via a digital environment, suddenly they are not there, or it's very difficult to find. Or the rise of the gig economy, Andy addressed it, so more part-timers, more flexible contracts. So that also is information you need to have. Where is a customer in his life cycle? What about his job, or the likelihood he's going to lose his or her job because of the rise of unemployment. What do I need to do if economics are changing, energy crisis or other crises that are there? What do I know about socio-demographics? And of course, legislation. Legislation. We all have to deal with that, but embrace it more or less. And I'm not like Bjarne, I'm really not into politics. It's really a crazy world. Don't you agree? With the eyes of Nicolas Cage. I think it's true. I have two boys, 24 and 28. Sometimes I think, what is their future? That's coming ahead on them. But let me be more political correct. I find a new word for that. No, it's a VUCA world. Somebody has heard about that? So it's more positive. To talk about let's say polycrisis, or let's say the crazy world. So more volatility, more complexity, more uncertainties, more ambiguity. Wow, difficult word. Sorry for that, but you can read it. So that means that also in how you are dealing with your customer across the entire credit cycle, you have to take that into account. All those elements that come to you, that change on a day-to-day basis, or on a weekly basis, or monthly basis, changes in the economy, also the interpretation of law. Lawyer A says this, lawyer B might say this, company A is dealing with data like that. Interpretation of GDPR might be different in Denmark than in the Netherlands. For sure it is. Netherlands is very conservative in the interpretation. But anyway, that means that, for instance, there are a lot of barriers to come to customer happiness. Oh, by the way, I forgot one thing. Sorry, Bo, for that. Count the times I mentioned the word API, and at the end of my presentation, the one who gets the counts right gets a prize. You can connect with me, or we will ask it, but count the numbers of the words API. So currently, I think I'm already at 5. Let's start with that. But barriers in customer happiness, failure are there. Imagine that you have an open banking solution already in place. You are highly digitalized, and then your FSA or your authority financial market does not allow you to only make your decision and your controls based on the data you retrieve from the customer bank account. No. You have to send in still your physical proofs. I have to make a copy of my salary slip. I have to make a copy of my passport. And I have to send it in via an envelope, or potentially I can upload it, let's say, on my personal, environment created at that time. But still fully digital in lending, fully digital in collections management. No, I don't think so. Yeah, if you use PSD2 in open banking in originations, and your customer has payment problems, severe payments problems, and you have to restructure, or forbearance measures have to be taken into account, why then not also use PSD2? Yeah, to retrieve the data via API, yeah, or whatever type of, to make, let's say, the affordability calculation or the income calculation, the expenditure calculation, and from there make a sustainable payment arrangement. So I see in the Netherlands that one of the largest bailiff credit management organizations and debt collections agent is using PSD2, yeah, to make this income, expenditure calculation, compares it with, let's say, national statistics about expenditures in average households. Yeah, so it makes a difference if you are single with kids or single without kids or married or whatever. So there are budget calculations, so you can easily compare the expenditures on telco, yeah, with the average. And from there you can give budget coaching, yeah, or advise the customer that he or she can do something to reduce the cost of living. But yeah, I think we are creating a lot of barriers into that. And of course, technology is a challenge where we have, let's say, old legacy systems. But that really for you, there's a need to look at what is available in the market and try to change that. So speed and scale is critical. Data is there. It's far more data than potentially you are aware of. And digitalization is important. And the one thing I forgot to mention here is the human touch. And don't forget about that. Yes, we are driving into digital, and yes, you saw all the people in the street, and they don't want to connect live, apparently. But I think there's a recent example in the Dutch market, I will not mention a name, where a fintech savings bank, only digital, where a customer was via phishing and social engineering the data was compromised and became a victim of a fraud attack. And she saw she had 100,000 euro on the savings account. She saw 2,500 euro going to transfer to country A, 2,500 euro to another country. So from 100,000 to 97,500, 95, blah, 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 until zero. And she tried, of course, to contact the bank. There was no way to connect with a human within the bank. So I think very important to say, don't forget about the human touch. I think that should be in place. Apart from Gen AI and chatbots and whatever, yes, they are very important. Yeah, but I want to say that, and perhaps because I'm Gen X, I'm old, I'm getting old, yeah, I still want to connect with people. This looks like a very difficult slide, but this is in fact all the elements you can have in place when you are to talk about onboarding, digital onboarding, yeah, for new to bank customers or existing customers. So you see on the left-hand side for you, data access, what type of data is available, how can we get insight from that, whether it's affordability, whether it's scorecards, Then, of course, you have your strategies in place. How am I going to make the right decisions, when to accept, when to refer, when to decline? Then you have your real decisioning in place. And what also a lot of companies tend to forget is the monitoring. Yeah, so talk with a bank. You have scorecards. Yeah, we have application scorecards in place. Okay, how old are they? Yeah, I think 4 years. Okay, good. Also during Corona, yeah? Did you monitor them? Or when did you validate the scorecards? Yeah, when we built them 3 years ago. Okay, so you still trust them? Yeah, I think probably they make the right decision. We don't really know. So, okay, then immediately, I said, red alerts. 4 years of scorecard, not monitored, not validated. Are there population shifts? Yeah, is there a different customer behavior in place? Yeah, can you really trust the model? The feedback loop, and that's also what I see lots of times, is that, okay, in originations you capture the data, you have your customer management data, but I think we have here some big banks that are using our collections software. The shit happens there. Yeah, if your product design is wrong, or you will get a lot of disputes, or depending on how aggressive you are, you will get a lot of defaults. But this feedback, or if you have, let's say, leaks, yeah, in your opening, which is linked to the lower slide of the presentation. If you are very poor in the fraud detection and fraud prevention, then it might, of course, that suddenly, yeah, in the month after opening of a new product, you see a huge increase in your first payment defaulters, how we call them, or your second second payment defaulters, or your never payers in a telco environment. Yeah, and it takes then, or can take, and I had an example of, well, will not mention the name, of course, and also not the region, but a credit card company, a large credit card company. They asked me to do a business review because they thought they had a collections problem. No, they had a fraud problem, which only took 3 months for them to discover that they had a fraud problem. Can you imagine the fraudsters? They talk around, hey, you have to go to the bank because there you can get the money. So this feedback loop, to bring all, let's say, that data that occurs at the back of your organization, bring that up front into customer management or in your originations policy. And whether it's KYC, verify your identity, access device, so device intelligent, collect the data from the devices, which is then, okay, is it routed via Africa, and the request digitally is coming via, let's say, Romania, just as an example. The keyboard or the time zones are different. That also can be used for detecting in an early stage already if you have to deal with, if you are dealing with fraud. So APIs, of course, are mentioned there and also on this slide, because there are a lot of new data sources in place that can help you to make good decisions for your company, that deliver value for you as a company, but again, deliver value also for the customer. So your in-house transactional data, third-party transactional data, via API, real-time, JSON or REST or SOAP, whatever type of whatever it might be. You enrich it with your internal data, and I think, and I have some more examples later on. Especially your non-traditional data kicks in and gives very good added value on top of, let's say, the normal data points you have to make your decisions. ML comes in place. We'll not touch on that because my colleagues and other presenters after me will give, I think, even better examples. Building models, to make, let's say, and you see it here, enhanced risk decisions, customer affordability assessments, marketing campaigns, fraud prevention schemes or whatever. So make use of all your applications you have in your environment, all the data points, Yeah, and with that, yeah, you can make the right decisions. If you talk about new data sources, and this is just an example of, well, we call it web data insights. So it's more or less the same. It's very simply said, is that same as that you key in the business name and an address in Google, yeah, you will find a lot of pages, results of a company. In this example, a restaurant or a manufacturing company. We take, and I think, Leandro, correct me if I'm wrong, colleague of mine, data scientist, I think we derived 200 attributes coming out of those search results from Google search, from Google Maps, and you see the examples. What about the risk neighborhood? What about the contact details that are there to be found on the internet? Yeah, and that data can be used to make a score that predicts the likelihood of this company being bankrupt within the next 12 to 18 months, which can give then a huge uplift in your decision power of your existing models you have in place. But not only, I think, in originations, when you want to grant a loan to a business, but also if you are in a credit management company and you want to assess the likelihood whether you can collect on this business customer. Or also for you as a credit insurer, can this data be used to optimize my, my insurance strategy on certain verticals or even on certain clients. Device intelligence, I already mentioned. This is the technical data that comes out of a device. But imagine that if you are a lender in rural Africa, where the distance between you and the customer is 1,000 miles or kilometers, where in microfinancing a customer wants to borrow money buying 2 cows for, let's say, 50 euro. And everybody has a mobile there. So what we can do there, and we are doing that, is that your number of contacts in your device, in your mobile, the number of abandoned calls, the number of non-listened voicemails, the number of WhatsApp you receive, can be used to make a risk model and use that in your risk decisioning. Or not allowed in our markets, but also social media data can be used to make better decisions with or without gamification. It's in some countries very popular, where you get a list of questions, kind of game, and together, let's say, with your social media profile and how you are answering the questions. Are you risk averse? Are you against lending, yes or no? They make a profile, and based on that, they will say yes or no for your application. New data sources, as more or less also related to new laws that are coming in. FIDA, heard about it. Financial data access, so that will create, let's say, the possibilities for financial services to share more data within the financial services area, but also other verticals. Is now out, has to become, of course, local legislation, but will create, I think, a lot of opportunities to get new data and to use that in any type of decisioning. PSD3, it's the follow-up of PSD2. PSD3 will make sure that there is more stronger authentication and more possibilities to combat fraud. Also will create a lot of opportunities, I think, for you as a business owner. Consumer consented data, where the consumer gives you consent to make to use that data. I think that also will be the future. And in the modeling space, I think the synthetic data, the use of synthetic data becomes very important. And yes, you can say, all those new data sources and all those new legislation coming in, difficult, crazy, part of VUCA as well. And that means also that you constantly have to think or have to rearrange or reprogram the APIs you have in place to stay connected. You can do that by yourself, of course, but yeah, you can do that also via a partner as Experian, even in a co-creation environment. So, and that's, I think, then I come to a conclusion. So, create an open data platform. I think, regardless where you are in your credit cycle, in originations, in customer management, in collections, I think is key. And if you have all those data points available, yeah, you can then decide, of course, yes, this data point is valuable in originations. This value point is valuable in credit management, in collections, or this data point is very valuable in fraud management. On top of that, you will build, let's say, all those fancy apps, yeah, on the mobile devices that are used by the customers, and also build in flexibility, because a Gen Z type of customer uses the mobile differently than the old Gen X or the baby boomer even. Yeah, or the generation Alpha, which is to come. That's really unclear, I think, still how they are going to deal with the digital world. But gives you the opportunity again, not only from a risk point of view, but also from a commercial point of view, to build and put in place digital propositions. Yeah, so you can do that by yourselves, but that means that with those changes in legislation, you constantly have to check whether what you have put in place today, yeah, to connect with all the data points is still valid, and put a lot of effort and time and resources in trying to get that updated. So I think the point on that one is that we can help you with that. Yeah, we have solutions for that. I'm not mentioning product names or whatever, but also if you have specific bespoke requirements, we can co-create that with you. And I think within time, I do not know what time it is, but we have written also, our colleagues here in the Copenhagen office, they have written a white paper. The future is API, not just API. Download it if you want. It's perhaps more the technical part of the use of API, but also giving the business benefits. And if you want to connect, it should work. Let me. So take now your mobile phone and let it see if this API works. Yeah, but you can connect. But anyway, thank you for that. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Herman Peeters. A big round of applause. Great. What about the competition, Herman? You need to find a winner?
I need to find a winner.
Yeah.
In terms of competition.
API.
Oh yeah.
My God, Herman.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. So they're going to cost me money now. No, that's okay. Okay, how many times did I use the word beep? 12? 12 times. 12. Jacob, you counted? 12 times. Okay, so we have a winner.
We have some winners, right?
We have some winners. Connect during the break, the next break with me. I'll make sure that you get the prize. Yeah.
Perfect. We also have time. We also have time for at least one question. So, is there any questions for Herman in the audience? If not any questions, I have a question from the digital channel. So you spoke about the barriers, and you listed a couple of barriers, right?
Yeah.
What is the biggest barrier for customer happiness in your perspective?
Well, the biggest barrier I see is that from a business point of view, the ideas are there, the innovation possibilities are there. But I think that's with any innovation, I think the lawmakers or the controlling bodies are not so a fan of all those changes. So I think where the technique already can be put in place, and I think it's a good example in the Dutch market, where the privacy authority, but also the FSA, is saying, no, still, yes, we understand that with open banking, you can have a far more granular calculation of income and expenditure, but still the law says that you have to control on the norms that are in place. Yeah, so even if, let's say, you are above or below the norms, so if you spend less, you can afford more to lend. The lawmaker is saying, no, that's not in place. Yes, now they are doing some tests and some proof of concepts to see whether new technology can work. But I think this is, so not from a business point of view, but from a compliancy point of view, I think those are the hurdles, the blockers to take.
Thank you, Herman Peeters. Another round of applause for Herman. Thank you so much.